Hi everybody and welcome to the Mercedes Formula One webinar. This is an event that we look forward to every single year and we'd like to welcome all our students and graduates who are watching. I'm really looking forward to bringing you up to speed, pardon the pun, with everything that is new at Mercedes. So similar to last two webinars that we've held, we're meeting with Angela, HR coordinator, and 4 IPs or industrial placement students. We'll call everybody IPs all the way through, but IPs, industrial placement students, same thing. But I'm just not saying industrial placement students for a whole hour. So I'm sure that Mercedes Formula One will not need any introduction whatsoever to you all. But Angela, can you give us a bit of an overview, what's new, what's exciting and your future plans at Mercedes F1, please?
Yeah, so we have a really exciting year of development ahead of us. So not only is the team growing, but we're also looking to grow our factory. And we have quite a few sustainability targets. So we're trying to build a beautiful green kind of campus feel with lots of lovely sustainable aspects like green roofs and sustainably sourced energy.
Perfect. And when is this all happening now? Is this something that's going to be...
Yeah, it is happening now. So we are currently in the development stage, which means there's a lot of construction and especially over the F1 shutdown, walls were going up and down and buildings are getting shifted about and corridors moved. So yeah, it's all good times.
I bet Angela was like, right, you can do all of this building work, but just not during the Gradcracker webinar. Yeah. Peace and quiet, absolute peace and quiet. So obviously we'll keep up to date with Angela and everything that's going on at Mercedes F1. So any blogs and news and images that we can put on once everything has gone live, we'll share with you all who are watching the webinar today on the hub. So keep looking back at the hub to find out a little bit more information about that. So thank you very much, Angela. I'm going to leave it there with you for the time being and then just flip on over to the industrial placement students. So starting with you, Alex. I've been picking on Alex first all the way through the prep session, but it's just because he is first on my screen. So Alex, you're currently studying at the University of Southampton.
Correct, yes.
Good. Could you give us a bit of an idea about what you're studying and your role at Mercedes F1, please?
So at university, I'm studying mechanical engineering with an integrated master's. And then within that is this placement year, obviously, here at Mercedes. And so my role title at Mercedes is an industrial placement within the design process development department, which is a department that kind of is looking at all sorts of aspects of the design process, how we can improve that. And you get a very nice overview of all sorts of departments within the company, and then your work reflects that.
Perfect. And we're going to find out more about Alex's and the rest of everybody's roles a little bit later on. So thank you very much. And you can see we're all looking really smarty pants today with all our new tops with all the logos on, which look brilliant. So thank you very much, everybody. Emily, on to you. So similar question. So you're studying at the University of Sheffield.
Yep, yeah, that's right.
Just wait till she starts speaking and get her accent out there.
It's from near Sheffield. I'm at the University of Sheffield studying law with European International Law. So I've actually just got back from a year studying abroad in Vienna, in Austria.
Wow.
And then now I'm taking a year out to do the placement here in the legal department, which is actually different to the other IPs who are all obviously engineering students. So so that's currently my role. I don't know, are we going into the roles a bit more later? Or
a bit more later, Emily, if that's okay. But it just goes to show about the transferable skills that you can gain from doing an industrial placement. We know that Gradcracker is predominantly STEM students, but as we know, there's other people who watch from different disciplines, and it just gives everybody an idea about the different roles that are open at Mercedes Formula One, and also because you study mechanical engineering doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go in and do mechanical placement, for example. The world is your oyster. So thank you very much for that, Emily. Miriam, on to you. So you are at, where are you at? University of Glasgow?
Yep, that's it. So
perfect.
I finished my second year at University of Glasgow studying electronics and electrical engineering, and I'm taking a year out to be an electronics industrial placement student.
Perfect. Thank you, Miriam. And Victor, so you're at Valencia?
Yeah, that's right. So I just finished my bachelor in aerospace engineering in Valencia, where I got quite involved in the Formula student team. And now I'm taking a kind of a gap year before the master's here in the aerodynamics design department in Mercedes. So in our department, we take care of all the aerodynamic surfaces around the car, and we design all those. Yeah.
And what are you going to go back and study then? What's your master's going to be? Is it the same as your bachelor's?
I'll probably move on to another university, so that would be most likely Delft, but I'm actually considering other options as well. So we'll see how the future looks. Yeah.
Oh, undecided. Watch this space. I like it. Living on the edge. Thank you very much, Victor, for that. And now we are going to do my favourite part of the webinar. Obviously, I love all the webinar, but favourite part is a top fact. So just top fact about Mercedes Formula One that you would like the students to know about. And starting with Angela.
So we have a really exciting diversity and inclusion program, which we call Accelerate 25. Yeah. And that program seeks to take at least 25% of our intake from underrepresented groups. Yeah. So this is something that we are working quite rigorously on. So we're looking to really extend our network and our appeal because, you know, you don't have to be a Formula One fan to work here. You know, and we want to hear from the underrepresented groups who potentially maybe have already said, oh, Formula One might not be for me. We're really trying to dispel that because it is for everybody, and we want to attract people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah, I think over the last couple of years, Angela, that's something that these webinars have definitely got out to the students. You know, you don't need to be know everything about Mercedes Formula One. You don't need to know about everything about Formula One full stop. You know, this is kind of our job as part of these webinars to educate people about who you are, the different placements that are open, and the different possibilities which are out there as well. So brilliant top fact. Thank you very much, Angela. Let's break the ice with you, Alex. Your fact.
So off the back of what Angela was saying, you don't have to be a Formula One fan because you can also do work with INEOS on the America's Cup boat. So if that floats your boat, pardon the pun, that's what you can get involved with. And another aspect of working at Mercedes. Yeah,
and you can see the INEOS logos on your shirt. You can see. And just a bit of a shout out to INEOS. So they are another Gradcracker employer who were actually watching this webinar with us a couple of years ago, and they've got a webinar on the 20th of October. So if INEOS is of interest, give them a register today. Thank you, Alex. Emily, top fact.
Yeah, well, I think actually leading off the back of Alex's is that you do actually, there's a lot more to just Formula One, like even just around the factory. So like you said, you can get involved in the boat, but like INEOS are very present on site. So it isn't just Mercedes Formula One team itself. You also have that, which is really cool. And you also get to, I get involved a little bit in the sort of like applied sciences department as well, which are actually customers that come to Mercedes and ask for like certain things that we can then develop. So it's not just necessarily all Formula One, which is pretty cool. And then other than that, just the general positives are there, like summer fun days and the Christmas party is always good, and a lot of like out of work like karting and things to get involved in. So yeah, really fun stuff.
Yeah, that all means a lot. So just a little bit about the applied science then. So do other companies come in and, Angela, I'm going off topic, so I'm looking at you. If Emily's allowed to speak, I might be getting daggers. So do other companies come in and ask you to design things? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so we have an applied sciences division. So, you know, they work on a whole variety of projects, which is quite interesting. So yeah, so we have the skills and the know-how, obviously, to build the Formula One car, but it's also how do we apply that to other external projects as well. So really, really exciting.
Perfect. That is very exciting and very new. I didn't know that. Thank you very much, Angela, and thank you very much, Emily. Miriam, I'm smiling because I know what Miriam's top fact is. Go for it.
Right, so we've got a fish and chip Friday.
Yeah.
I love it. It's amazing.
We had a bit of a discussion before this webinar about what you say with fish and chips. So curry sauce, got mushy peas, we've got gravy. Angela's favourite, what was yours? Chip butty, Angela?
You can't have the double carbs. You can't have it. I can't have my head around it.
Angela's struggling with so many carbs, and us Northerners are just like all the carbs as humanly possible, topped off with tomato ketchup. Thank you, Miriam. Definitely a conversation piece. Victor, on to you.
Yeah, so just to comment this, dichotomy between the team trying to look for our well-being with all these gym access, the hub serves all types of meals, and all the engineers on the other side trying to celebrate anything that comes up with cakes in the kitchen. So you often get these mails and see the whole department migrating towards the kitchen. So yeah, it's quite representative of the atmosphere in the team, which is really open. Yeah.
I love that. That's like team, like the gladiators, you know, like keeping fit, keeping exercise versus the Great British Bake Off. Perfect combination. Thank you very much.
There does seem to be a bit of a running theme with these Mercedes webinars.
Yeah, food.
Food. I think last year someone's favourite bit was the canteen.
Yeah.
Again, anyone watching, you know, if you're a bit of a foodie.
They do have some cars somewhere. There's just they do other bits.
I feel like engineering and baking seem to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
We have some amazing engineers and amazing bakers as well. And you're like, how is this possible?
Exactly. Baking is an art form. That's what I keep telling my husband when he says, you can't cook, Carl. I'm like, I'm a baker. Definitely not an engineer. Okay, so thank you very much for your icebreakers. You've definitely broken the ice and everybody will be enjoying the webinar so far. Alex, coming back to you. I always frown when I say Alex, it's just like I'm being serious. So I know you watched the webinar last year, my love. So thanks for joining us this year. So when you were watching the webinar last year, what made you want to join Mercedes Formula One? Obviously being part of the fantastic webinars that we do every year. Aside from that, you know, put that as a second one. First thing, why did you think, yeah, there's something about that company I want to work for? What was it?
I mean, in general, it combined my interests of obviously engineering with the degree I'm on, and I've been a lifelong Formula One fan. But from the webinar, I gauged that sort of the things we discussed with the fun facts, that it's not just work, it's a bit of a community.
Yeah.
And with that community, you'll have support around you, there's fun things to do, but there's also the work. And the work that you complete, even on a placement, is meaningful work. Like it will impact on the car, or it will impact on the boat. So you're not just kind of at the side, kind of being here for a year, just coasting along. You are doing meaningful impacting work, which is very interesting and a nice bit of responsibility.
Yeah, I want to get to know more about this boat as well, but I think we'll move on to that just when we talk about projects and things.
Yeah.
So I want to delve a little bit deeper in that boat. Thank you very much, Alex. I'm hoping that you're enjoying the webinar so far. Well, you're going to be the judge. You're the expert. So Angela, I'm going to loop back to you before we meet the IPs in even more detail than we have done already. So your opportunities are currently open on Gradcracker. They are all live, ready to apply for when a student has finished watching the webinar. Give us a bit of a flavour to what's on offer, please, if you can.
Yeah, so we have 37 industrial placements that we're looking to fill. We have a few new areas this year, so we're very excited about this.
Yeah.
So we have some new roles in marketing, commercial finance, and cost analysis. So whilst you might only see 19 ads that are live on Gradcracker on the hub and then also on our website, you know, we have several other, we have lots of other vacancies as well. So say for instance in aerodynamics, you know, you'll see one advert, but we have 6 vacancies to fill.
Yeah.
So very, very exciting.
That's a really good point, actually. So there might be only 19 listed. Angela wants to kill me by saying only 19 listed, but there's more opportunities available per that one opportunity. So Angela, if I was a placement student thinking, oh, there's 2, can't really choose between them, are students are allowed to apply for more than one, or should they just think, right, no, I really want to do this and just apply for the one?
Yeah, no, so we welcome you to apply to as many as you are interested in.
Yeah.
One of the new features of this year is that we have integrated testing. So after you apply, you will be sent a test email containing your test links. So we have psychometric tests as well as some technical tests. So just bear in mind that if you apply to more than one industrial placement vacancy, you might be required to take multiple technical tests.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit more about the application process then. So if a student was to apply today, obviously these testings, things like timescales, when are you closing your opportunities, all of that sort of information.
Yep, so our closing date for applications is on the 2nd of October. Yes. At a minute before midnight. So
yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
we do recommend that you apply before then. So once your application is submitted, you then have a testing window of 7 days to complete your test. And then your test scores are automatically sent back to us. So that's great. As part of the application process, we ask you to fill in a questionnaire where you outline your grades and also some of your details around what projects you've done at university and whatnot. So we do ask you to fill all of that in. You are welcome to upload a CV and a cover letter. We just ask that you upload it in one document, but please do answer all the questions in the questionnaire as well.
Yeah. Would you advise a student to do both, and Angela? So obviously answer all the questions in the application, but also upload the CV and cover letter. Is that really what you're looking for? Both?
Yeah. Both.
Perfect.
So yeah, but definitely upload. Definitely fill in the questionnaire to make sure that you are answering all of our questions.
Lovely. She says it in such a smiley way. It's like, yeah, make sure you do that. Smile. Do it.
Yeah, can I just make a comment on there, because I've actually heard students, kind of ask me that question before. Yeah. If Angela said there, a cover letter. So do not just upload your CV, because remember, your cover letter can be that extra bit of sell there, can't it? To Angela to say, look, I really, really want to work for you guys, and that extra push. Anyone listening, make sure you put that in as well, and not just your cover letter. Angela, can I just chuck in one question here? Because again, when you say about testing, for me as an individual, testing would fill me with dread and think, oh my gosh, how can I prepare for this test beforehand? So sorry to put you on the spot a bit, but is there any kind of hints and tips you could give to the students on how they could prepare for this test, and what's the best way of kind of going about it so they're going to be successful?
Yeah, so our psychometric testing is really just to let candidates demonstrate where their strengths are with our behaviors. So based on our behavioral framework, we have psychometric tests called factors, which basically highlights what your key strengths are. Logics is a verbal reasoning test, and that's something that is fairly standardized throughout the industry, to have just like a consistent approach for all of our industrial placements. I'd say our technical test, I get this question a lot, like, oh, what can I revise? Like, how many books do I need to read before this technical test? And I would really say this is really your opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge in your subject matter, and how you can really think on the spot. So some of these tests, yes, they will cover certain aspects that you've already learned, but also there's a bit of reasoning and logic behind it as well, to kind of think about what you would say is the answer when put on the spot and given a scenario. So don't read 20 novels before the test, for every single textbook ever opened ever. It's more about the knowledge that you currently have.
Absolutely. No, perfect bit of advice there. So thanks, Angela. I'm going to take the reins now, and
can we just say 2nd of October is Sunday?
Sunday, yes, Sunday. This Sunday.
So you haven't got long.
No,
I'm being a nag, Jess. I'm just being a nag, just saying, look, it's Sunday. It's not a month's time. It's this Sunday coming. This Sunday. Right, go on. Take the reins.
Yes. And unfortunately, Alex, you're top of my list again. So I'll try and mix it up for the next question.
No, don't. Put it on the
spot. Sorry, everyone else. It's just the order. So what I want to find out a bit more about is your role. So Alex, you've kind of delved in slightly about what you've been up to, but if you could go into a bit more detail about what this kind of IP has been like for you so far.
So yeah, just again, the title of my role, if you're looking for it, is Design, Process and Development. Brilliant. And then this sort of role, so the projects I've currently undertaken have been multiple departments I've looked into, so say composites, test and development, and then different sort of tasks and a wide range of short little tasks to more longer projects that you kind of undertake with the support around you. And that's a key thing to reiterate, you always have support around you.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll essentially produce some work, which you then can check off with your manager and head of department. And that is then sent out and used on the car, say, or the boat, and that'll be the meaningful impact. In terms of actual projects, can't get into too much specifics, but it is a nice wide range essentially in the department. So you see a very good broad view of the company essentially.
Yeah, brilliant. That's good. And I think you've hit some, good points early on, in terms of responsibility. You get that straight away. You're actually doing jobs which is going to have a serious outcome, and you can see that then being put into motion, which is great. In terms of the kind of exposure you've said as well about working with different people across teams, how do you find that then? Can you almost say, oh, I'm a bit interested in that work, can I go and do that? Or do you kind of get handheld on what the next project will be?
So the work comes through our department and is handed out to us, and you have like a project list essentially.
Yeah.
In terms of actually like carrying out the work, you can go and approach people. That's one really good thing, that the office is such a friendly environment. Everyone's really approachable.
Good, yeah.
And then it's a case of you can go through the support with your manager and agree on the next steps. Of you might have to go and see this person, you might have to do this or produce this work, and essentially that's how you go through each project and produce some nice work hopefully in the end.
Absolutely. Alex, how do you find doing that? Because I always think, especially, being in Mercedes Formula One, I can imagine you maybe put extra pressure on yourself, and then having that confidence to go up to someone and say, oh, can I have some help on this? And, what is it really like doing that? And what's the responses like that you get? Do you have to go in with a cheeky cupcake as well to say, can you give me a bit of help, or can you just go in with a smile?
You can go in with a smile and everyone's happy to help you if they got some free time. And yeah, that's one great thing. I mean, whoever you approach knows that you can't know everything essentially, and you have that support and help. And when you start here, you're not just dropped in the deep end essentially. So people understand that you won't know certain things. Like even now, I'm still learning things, and I imagine that'll be throughout the placement, which is kind of nice in a way. Meet new people, learn new skills. Yeah. And then everyone's very helpful essentially.
That's all part of it though, isn't it? It's not just about learning, like your day job, it's interacting and things like that, which will then take you those skills back to university with you and, take you through the final year. So I just think industrial placements are fascinating because it's not just the job, it's everything that you're learning in between as well.
Yeah. And I think for you as an individual, your confidence and your knowledge, and then, the exposure you've got as well is absolutely fantastic. So Victor, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. Similar question, if you could just tell us a bit more about your role.
Yeah, so I'm one of the aerodynamics IPs. So in aerodynamics, there are different roles. There are the experimental side, there's the CFD tools, and I'm one of the development group IPs. So I'm in the front end group. So I'm in the group that develops the frontal part of the car. So we work on development cycles. We have our, let's say, cyclic development in CFD, which is computational fluid dynamics, which is the main tool for development. And then like the end of this development cycle is marked by the wind tunnel tests, where we take those bits that we have designed and we assess their performance in the wind tunnel model. So yeah,
I see. Now I want to ask so many questions.
I know, I'm just thinking, you said wind tunnel, I'm just thinking Jess. I'm just like, very excited, move on.
You mentioned earlier about, kind of the experiment side. How much, because I won't go there about the technical stuff, but in terms of experimenting, how much kind of leeway do you get to kind of experiment on, testing things? And again, is it, so if you did come up with an idea yourself, Victor, can you kind of run with that, or are you quite restricted to what the group's doing?
Yeah, no, we're actually like everyone in the department, doesn't matter whether you're a senior aerodynamicist or an industrial placement. You have voice to propose new ideas, to run through your different ideas and develop on them. And of course, you eventually get them testing town. So like in fact, in a couple of weeks' time, I will get my first bits testing the town, which is quite
well done. Wow.
Yeah, exciting.
Apart from this, we get to do some rotations as well. So we get to spend a couple of days in each of the different departments in aero, which is a pretty hands-on experience. And you actually get to know much more about how the wind tunnel operates, more than just evaluating the results, let's say, which is our most daily task, let's say.
Yeah. Oh, are you feeling a bit nervous?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Is it going to work?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be exciting though. Because
sorry, Callie, from a worst case scenario, right? Say it didn't work. Then what happens? What would the team be like? What would be the repercussions? I can't imagine you get a slap on the wrist, for example.
Something that my manager pointed out to me, and that is like you can already feel it, is that in Mercedes everything is so much around learning. So even though it doesn't bring like the expected performance, it will bring some knowledge, and you will still analyze the results and bring on that knowledge into the next development cycle. So it's, even if it doesn't bring the expected results, we will learn something from it and start building on that new idea.
And ultimately, Victor, that's what I hoped you were going to say, because that's the impression I get when I speak to you guys. And that is something I've learned, and me and Carla talk about all the time, is ever since that we've been speaking to you over the last 3 years doing these amazing sessions, I've learned it's more about the team. I've always thought, oh, it's Formula One, but it's not necessarily just about that. It's about working together as a team and having, no matter who you are, as long as you're all pulling in the same direction, then just go for it. And I just think that's so great, and I think that's a great example of that.
Team effort, isn't it?
I would say, like, two of the key highlights from both Alex and Victor's statements is that we don't have a big hierarchy. Alex, I know you're sat really close to your head of department. Everybody's sat together, working together. So it's not like, the heads of department are closed away somewhere else and that you never see them. They're out there working with you every day. And one of the other key things is, yes, we are a huge learning organization, and we have a very strong see it, say it, fix it culture. So, if you see something that's not working, definitely raise it. And then we get to work fixing it or finding a better way of doing it. So that kind of continuous improvement is going throughout everything. And it's quite exciting that way, because yes, there are things that we try that don't always work. But we learn from it, and we take our learning forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Miriam, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. Similar question. Tell us a bit more about your role.
Right. So I'm also doing electronic systems reliability and testing. So it's literally everything on the car: sensors, ECU, electronic control unit, communications, radio, everything. So everything that's electronic and goes on the car has to be tested beforehand, before every single race. And if there's something wrong or not working, then we have to investigate why. So that's essentially my job right now. I'm trying to find out why things are not working and how we can make them work. And I don't have any big projects, because I'm working on a case-by-case basis. But I am programming a tool that will help me go through data faster to see why something might have happened, to find trends. So
So when you say you're doing programming as well? So is that something which you covered much in your degree, and did you expect to be doing this now, that kind of element of it on the placement?
Well, it's not the kind of programming I would do on my degree, because in my electronics degree, we do some sort of embedded programming, on chips. But what I'm doing right now is more separated from that. I would have not expected it, but I don't mind it. It's fine. I like it.
You enjoy it? And again, great example of why you should do a placement, because then you get to experience something you might not have experienced before. Whether you like it or not, you could think, oh, actually, I might, pursue a career in that, or I want to do a bit more of it. So in terms of, you mentioned about it's not necessarily project-based. I guess, you're almost reacting to situations all the time. So that must be quite exciting part of your job, because you never know what's going to happen in between different races, or even from a Saturday to a Sunday, what's going to happen. So how do you find that? I bet it's quite hectic, because you're going to have to react quite quickly.
So normally the schedules in our department depend on the races. So if there's a race, we know that we have to be on it and test everything before the race, and then if there's any problems after the race as well. And so I feel like it's very nice that it's quite connected to the race. I could watch the race and see if there's anything wrong on TV, then I know it's going to come back to me.
I was saying, Miriam, you say that with a smile on your face. I'd be like behind the cushion. Is it finished yet? Is it finished? Is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. No problem. I bet do you not feel a bit apprehensive during the race?
No, I guess.
Emily's nodding. She's like, yeah, I would.
I guess not, because investigation is fun. I feel like little Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, God, you're a tough cookie. You're a tough one.
Am I allowed to ask a question? It's not just about Mercedes, but say if something went wrong with the car. So say, what's the time frame? Because race day is normally a Sunday, isn't it? So say if something went wrong on the Saturday, what time frame have you got to fix that before you go out back on track? Because sure, that's the same time for everyone. So that's not just going to be for Mercedes, right?
Depends on how essential it is. Because obviously, if it's essential, people on trackside, not me, people on trackside will try to get it fixed as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But if it's not something essential, maybe it's something that's good to have, then it'll come back on Monday, and then we work out from there.
Right. Okay. So what do you tend to do on race day? Have you actually been there on race day yet, or do you tend to be more in HQ rather than physically, like in the pit lanes?
I've only ever been in the workshop. I haven't been on trackside.
Okay.
Although I would, like, in the future, I would like to go trackside and travel with everyone.
I think everybody would like that, wouldn't they?
I mean, it's not as fun as it sounds, though, because you only travel for the race. You don't really have extra time.
Yeah. But you're there, though. Imagine the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. I think running off on adrenaline as well be so exciting. So brilliant. Thank you so much. Emily, I'm going to come to you next. Same question. See if you can top that.
I'm sure you can. You can. Come on.
As I said earlier, I'm in the legal department. So it's very different to, for example, walking into a law firm. Obviously, not only just because it's an in-house team, but also just the nature of Formula One and the nature of the company that we're dealing with. It's just so exciting. As Alex said earlier, actually, like getting to combine both like the motorsport angle of it and then the legal side of it is just really cool. So like mainly within the legal department, there's kind of like three main sides to it. Well, two main sides, and then the third is kind of a bit of the other. But so yeah, you kind of have like the commercial side, which is very much dealing with like suppliers to the team, applied science customers, and also the big dogs, which are like the team partners and things. So that, and then also you've got the more regulatory side to it. So that's dealing with like the actual like regulations, the Formula One regulations, the FIA governance, all that side of it, appeals and protests, which cross fingers they never come up, but obviously last year they did quite a lot, but not as much this year. But yeah, and then the other side of it is a lot of sort of like brand protection, obviously dealing with the nature of Formula One, a lot of intellectual property, so like concerns on protecting that and protecting the Mercedes brand name as a whole. So yeah, it's really cool because compared to like in law firms, you get to deal with a lot more closely with actual other departments. So you're working quite closely with the commercial department and the marketing department, sometimes HR as well, which is where Angela sits. So there's like a lot to get involved with. And my work, especially as a placement student, is so varied because I can be brought in the at random points in part of any agreement, any negotiations, and they'll just give me a random task to do, and it'll just be dealing with that, and then learning the whole context of what's going on and seeing like sort of like the contract life cycle, I would call it, of you get to see sort of the actual negotiations as they're going on, and then you get to even get involved a bit with the drafting of the contracts and things, and then you watch it go for signing, and then you get it back and it's fully signed, and you're like, oh, this is great. and depending on what it is, you might even then see like an announcement by Mercedes like in the media or something about it, and it's really rewarding. So yeah, generally just very varied, very interesting, really.
And Emily, doing law, why Formula One? Why was you interested in Mercedes in the first place to apply to them?
So for me personally, as I said, it's was a personal thing. I really have grown up watching Formula One and always loved it. So there was that side of it. For me, it was actually a long-term goal to eventually somehow work in Formula One with law. Initially, I was thinking maybe for the FIA or something like that, but then last year I saw this industrial placement advertised on Mercedes website, and that was actually the first year that they had run the legal industrial placement. So I actually am like the first person to do it, which is cool, but also has its own challenges. So yeah, when the next student comes through, that'll be good, because then it's kind of like they get a month overlap with us. So I'll be able to sort of show them the ropes a little bit, whereas I didn't have that. So yeah, it's really good to combine the Formula One industry and law, because there's a lot of other legal aspects to it, like I said, like the commercial side as well as the regulatory side. So it's like a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Emily, you mentioned there, which is just a nice thing to touch upon, again, any students that are thinking about applying, is that you do give a bit of a handover, don't you, which is nice. So you'll get to meet the person that's obviously going to then replace you. So in terms of, doing that, I bet it was obviously a bit difficult for you to not have that. But, for anyone, students are thinking about applying, it'd be nice to get that experience from all of you and to listen to the stories and, to almost pass on the baton, which is really sweet thought. So again, that's just one little point I wanted to mention there. Next, we're going to talk about projects. Alex, I'm going to come to you again because you're top of my list. I know you've talked a bit about projects. Yeah. But what's your favourite project, would you say, that you've been involved in so far?
Favourite one? I mean, they all have a certain aspect that I enjoy about them. Learning something new, a different department. I did some pretty cool stuff revolving around the driver apparel, which was quite interesting, and kind of how that will develop in, and hopefully that will come to fruition. And then on the other side of that, I've had projects doing completely different stuff where I'm looking at just data, sort of that sort of thing, or even just like design and that sort of aspect of components and stuff that can help develop the car, essentially. And that's kind of overview of the department, that everyone's doing something slightly different and such a broad range, and you can all learn from that. And then you can pick up on other people's projects and think that's quite interesting, or you can learn from them as well.
Yeah. So are you buddied up with something, Alex, or are you do you do some projects on your own? How does that work?
Generally, you have your own sort of project list to yourself.
Yeah.
We're quite lucky in design process development, as there are 7 industrial placements.
Oh, okay. So you've got like a little team going on.
Yeah, it's quite a nice little community we've got going on, I guess. And so maybe some person's done some project work revolving around a certain aspect that you might need to know about, so you can go and approach them, and they can help teach you what you need to do, or who you need to go and talk to, that sort of thing. And it's quite a nice little community feel there, sort of thing. We all sit quite close together as well.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
Yeah. I think that's important, isn't it, when you've got your own little team of people, when you're near to people as well, then you feel much more comfortable in your surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Victor, we'll come to you next. Favourite project you've worked on so far?
Yeah, so apart from my day-to-day projects, which I literally, it's my dream job. Like in the weekends, we as placement students can get to do some race support stuff. And I find it quite insightful, because you can, apart from doing the actual task that you're there to do, which is usually transcribing and listening to the other team radios and so on, you can actually get to look at all the data from the cars, which I found really interesting. You can also attend the debriefs with all the track team and so on. And you can actually hear what's going on the track, the drivers are feeling, and it kind of gives you a more broad insight on how the car operates and what we're looking for as a team, and more specifically as the aerodynamics team. So yeah, I think it's quite an appealing opportunity as well to attend those.
Yeah, definitely. So in the past, I've mentioned, I know you've spoke about race day, Angela, on previous webinars and things like that. So am I right in thinking on race day or race weekend, you can all kind of go into the office, you can kind of see all this stuff kind of going on live? Is that still the case? Is there still like a buzz round race day? Do you all kind of get together? How does that work?
So we have the race support room. So what Victor was mentioning is that you can volunteer to go in and do that. And so our industrial placements kind of have a rota, and they all have the opportunity to do that for different races. So super exciting. And it's I liken it to NASA, when you have
that's how I feel with me.
Everything's going on, and you've got weather, and you've got team radio, and all this kind of stuff, and it's really quite exciting and quite insightful. Like Victor said, you see all the different aspects of it. So so our IPs can volunteer to be part of that. and it's definitely an amazing opportunity to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Emily, if jumping back to you one second, with you doing the kind of the law side, kind of more commercial side, could you still get involved in that as well if you wanted as well on race day?
So unfortunately for me, I've been pestering to try and get in that race support room, but actually, it's because of the cost cap and some things to do with that. The legal side of it is classed as F1 excluded. Which means that like if I was to do that, I'd have to like count time and stuff like this. So I'm not allowed apparently. Although I'm still gonna try to get in there by the end.
And say hello.
I'm in Emily's boat as well. I'm excited, so.
It's not a no. It's not a not now. Just keep pestering.
Just take some cupcakes. Save some cake.
It's fine.
Brilliant though. So thanks, Victor. Miriam, I know you mentioned that your projects, your work isn't necessarily project based, but have you had anything that you probably has been your best experience so far there?
I don't know what will be the best experience so far, because it's like little bite-sized things that feel satisfying. Like when I solve a case and I can say, yep, I know why this was broken. This is how we fix it. Let's put it aside. Everything's happy for the next like 2 races or so. But like project wise, the thing I'm programming is a tool that's supposed to help me pick and choose what car data I want to look at, so I can see trends and investigate like long running issues. So that's the project I'm working on by myself for now. I'm going to deploy it. Soon I'm going to deploy it so my colleagues can use it as well.
Oh, cool.
And soon enough, possibly, I might also get some design projects for PCBs.
Brilliant. That'd be really good. And it's great, again, that you've got that capacity to say, right, I'm interested in this. Can I, do that for a little bit? And so jealous. Sounds so much fun. Okay, next on my list is Emily. I know you've mentioned about all the exciting projects that you've been working on, getting contracts signed off, working with different brands and different sponsors, but what's your favourite kind of project been so far?
I think my actual favourite one I can't talk about. In true legal style. I think one of them that is very much like ongoing is probably just the fact that now I've got to a point where, and they've facilitated me to the point where I've kind of taken over, almost taken over the sort of like non-disclosure agreement process. So any obviously supplier or anything that we deal with needs to, the first thing we do is confidentiality agreement. So now like it's kind of cool because I've kind of got into the process of like putting them together. And then I also kind of have that responsibility now. So I'm getting like emails through from like directors of the company and whoever and everyone like asking me to put these NDAs together, which is like, it's cool to have that responsibility. So that's kind of like an ongoing project that I guess is nice that I've come to a point where I feel like that is something that I definitely like can contribute to the team without having to like sort of ask for any like help or anyone to like sign it off or anything. So that's pretty cool. And
brilliant.
Plenty of others as well.
Well done. Angela, just going to come back to you. If anyone was sat here now interested in Emily's role, but doesn't necessarily have a law degree, studying a STEM degree, could they still apply to Emily's position?
I think for Emily's position, we are looking for law students for this cohort. I know it's really interesting, and I know loads of people probably like love to be in Emily's shoes, but I think for this upcoming cohort, we are looking for law students.
No worries. Okay, just wanted to check.
Okay. Can I say something on that?
Yeah,
I guess I would say that if someone was interested that's currently maybe doing an engineering degree or any other STEM degree that is interested into going into law in general, then you can look into the GDL, I think it's called, is the conversion course. It's kind of like a master's, but it's like a year-long conversion onto law. So I guess if you wanted to do that, and then I presume after that you could do like an initial placement in somewhere like this. So.
Yeah. Good shout, Emily.
Really
she also gives come back here for careers advice for Emily. No, that is a good shout there, because I think you are so inspiring, and I think you being from law, looping in Formula One as well, there's something there that I think people will be interested in. So yeah, worth a shout.
So next I want to talk about the future. I know we all don't have a crystal ball, but if we were in control of the future, what do you feel like this placement has added to kind of your skills and how you'll feel it'll benefit you, you know, when you go back to university? And do you feel as though, what are those benefits? Is it personal as well as, you know, your technical skills? Because again, when I'm speaking to students, I'm such an advocate of doing a placement because the amount of knowledge that you're going to gain, you know, not just technical but personal. So Miriam, I'm going to come to you first. Mix it up. You're not the top of my list, my love, but
that's one thing. So I think for me, the best thing I'm going to kind of come out of this internship is the confidence, because I got the confidence that I can, if I go back to uni, I can ask anyone for help. I can, if I need to make an argument, I know how to structure and present it, and also the confidence that I've been doing the work that I'm trying to prepare for at university in some regard. So at least I know I'm going to enjoy it. I know I'm on the right track. And it's technical wise, it's only like bits and pieces about, you know, a bit of theory on that, But I think the most valuable things are the decision-making process and the experience of that.
In terms of where you could see yourself going in the future, do you think this experience has changed where you can see yourself having a career, or, you know, do you feel as though you've got more of an idea of what you want to do once you finish your degree?
Before, I only knew like generally electronics, anything. I just wanted anything related to electronics. But now I know that I really want to be involved in the automotive industry, whether it's F1 or general automotive. I know that's what I like.
Yeah.
So
did you know that before?
No.
See, again, this is why placement's so good.
You would have liked if Miriam turned around and said, yeah. You'd be like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? I'm like, right, well, that's good.
Next question.
But no, exactly. And that is just, I hope we use this as a snippet, because that is exactly why you should do a placement. Because when you go on to apply for those graduate roles, you've got this experience as an absolute wow. But then you're more going to be more passionate about applying to that industry because you know what you want to do. So absolutely win. Victor, I'll come to you next. What has this experience given you so far, and how do you feel like you can apply it in the future?
Yeah, so quite similarly to what Miriam said, like the technical side is obviously a whole new set of knowledge that you will have when you step out of here. But more important than that, I would say that in our at least, and I'm sure it's the same in the rest of the departments, you learn so much about how to draw conclusions by analyzing a very wide set of data. Like we have data from the CFD simulation, we have data from the wind tunnel, we have data from truck sensors and so on. So you have to not just limit yourself to one thing that the simulation is telling, but you have to broaden your view and draw a more complex conclusion. And getting the chance to hear very experienced people draw their own conclusions and how they reason and how they get to different solutions and so on. It's very, very inspiring and very rewarding at the same time. So yeah, sitting in those meeting rooms where everyone seems to know just a lot, it's just by itself, it's worth it.
Yeah. And knowing that that'll be you guys one day, you'll have all the answers and you'll be, influencing the next generation coming through. So no, that's great. And Vic, can you see your career progressing in kind of the automotive Formula One sector when, once you've finished your masters, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely enjoy the high pressure environment that there's here. Like we have these very close development cycles in aerodynamics specifically, and kind of feeling that you're actually contributing to the performance of the car is very rewarding. And also the very close atmosphere that there is in this team, because everyone is like pushing hard towards reducing lap time and addressing any issue that is at hand, where it's porpoising, whatever it is, that brings like a very close atmosphere around the whole team, and you really like feel that you're part of this and that you're contributing even as an IP. So it's like definitely a good place to be here.
Yeah, 100%. Brilliant. Alex?
Yeah, I think like Victor said, I mean, it's exposed me to another whole depth of knowledge here with all the people, years of experience, and to see how kind of the knowledge that I've learned at university is deployed in industry, especially with say such fast turnarounds as Formula One presents. But I think also it's developed my people skills, like you said, kind of approaching people, having a chat to people I don't know, and then especially say when I'm concluding work, a lot of the presentation work and showing other people and kind of bringing them on side of I've done this, I've achieved this, and I think that'll really help me at sort of university and just in life in general, being able to present to people and then just communication, but with that underlying technical gain as well that I've made.
100%. Emily, I'm going to ask you the next question, and then I'm going to go back round because I know I'm pushing time, and I know you guys all need to be out your rooms by 3. But
and I need to speak to Angela.
I know you need to, but I'm actually really glad this question's on my list of questions.
Oh yeah, do that.
The question is quite formal now. Did you have any notion about Mercedes and how are these spelled? So that's the question. But it's something I always think about Mercedes. I think a lot of people put you at the top. You are number one, and how it can be nerve-wracking applying to then going through the experience. And is it as scary as you think it is? And what is it actually like? So, Emily, I'll come with you. I did say I was going to ask you first.
So the short answer to that is no. It's not. I think the scariest part of it is probably when you are sat at home writing your application for the first time, thinking of the whole what if, whatever. And then I think as soon as you get to a point where you actually interact with any member of the team whatsoever, whether that's someone really high up or someone like Angela said, with the hierarchy, everyone's all mixed in, but technically there is some people up there. But you really find that no matter who you're dealing with, as soon as you start to deal with them, then you soon lose all of that, because everyone is so friendly, so welcoming, very personable. I think actually before going into my interviews, I was obviously really scared, but I was also kind of like, oh well, if I don't get it, then it's all right. But then after meeting everyone, after meeting the people interviewing me, I was like, okay, they're all so lovely, and this is definitely now. So now I will be good if I don't get it. I think once you actually get to the point of being here, that's the least scary part.
Oh, brilliant. That's perfect. I don't know if anyone else wants to quickly add to that before we jump back to Angela. Did anyone have a real, kind of turning experience?
I've got one. So, first of all, I'd like to say I thought this would be like a full corporate environment, and I've been proven wrong. Also, this is not the kind of environment where you just you're expected to show up, do the work, and be quiet. Like that's really not it. Because, for example, one time I was in an electronics group meeting, and we went around the table, and everyone said like, "What's good? What's bad? What could be better?" And when it came to my turn, I said, well, it would make my life easier if we had this information in the data sheets. And I kid you not, a lead engineer started to take notes. And after the meeting, he asked me more in detail about what do you want it to be, where do you want it to be, how do you want it to be, just so we can implement it for W14 for the next car. And I did not know this could happen. I did not think this is real. I was positively shocked. So the point is,
well done you.
Speaking up.
And afterwards, I was cheered on by my manager and the head of the department saying, keep feedback like that coming.
Yeah. I bet your head of the department was like, yeah, she's with me. That's my team.
Yeah.
Did you have anything, Alex, before we go on to Angela? Angela, I know, I look at your little face. I've got you. Did you have something, Alex? Did you just, I don't know if you just...
Nothing really major off the back of Emily. It's just a case of you're not expected to come here and know everything straight away. You're known that you come out of university, and like Victor said earlier, it's a learning experience the whole time for everyone. So as long as you have that will to learn, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, perfect. That concludes that section beautifully. So thank you, Alex. Thanks, IPs. Angela, come on, this inspiration here that's coming out of this webinar is just palpable. So from your point of view, what is offered to the students? You know, can they come back as grads? I know these are all IPs, just cover those subjects.
So, I mean, they get like the most amazing experience here in their industrial placement. We do have people who do return to us when we start advertising our grad roles because they loved it here, and after their degrees they want to come back. I just think part of the really nice industrial placement program is the overlap. So I know in Alex's group, you know, there were 6 of the former IPs handing over to like 7 of the new, and it was like a really good month of learning, like directly from your previous IP, which I think is just an amazing experience. And you know, I know time-wise, like we are at that phase where, you know, it's late September, but it's only September, and obviously we're looking to do the selection process in the next couple of months, and it's a long time from being selected until we start in July, the following July in 2023. So what we like to do is we hold a fabulous welcome day.
These are fabulous,
So these guys will tell you, they came to the welcome day. I personally was so excited for the welcome day this past year because we were coming out of COVID and we were, you know, finally able to bring people on site, and it was like it was really, really nice, and really nice to bring everybody together and for them to see all their managers outside of the interview setting, which is always a nice relief factor. You know, you've got the job. So yeah, that's one of our really nice bridges between actually, you know, getting your offer and your contract, and then before you start with us. And I think the guys are telling me as well, you know, they got to meet everybody, and really a lot of friendships were formed. And I think some of you guys decided on that day who you're going to live with when you moved to Brackley. So you know, really, really nice kind of sociable event.
Well, it's a perfect event, isn't it? When they're all together to start bonding, you know, especially bonding with people away from your teams, maybe as well, just so you get to know everybody. And this is how friendship groups form. So, Angela, any final hints and tips from you that you want to give the students applying, who are definitely going to apply after this fantastic webinar?
I would just say, you know, apply sooner rather than later. Please don't put yourself under that last minute stress of applying 2 minutes to midnight. You know, please don't do that. And you know, if you are interested in more than one industrial placement, definitely, you know, apply for multiple. You know, it's a really fantastic opportunity. Like I get very, very excited about this time of year because I'm like, yes, like this is amazing. Like everybody, like apply. This is gonna be great. A few key dates to think about. I know we're running out of time, but we will be holding assessment centers to select the successful candidates. These will be either at the end of October or early November. So we just ask candidates to kind of bear that in mind. So yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to bring everybody on site to do that as well. Should be very exciting.
So it's a very quick turnaround time. People are watching. So 2nd of October, which is next Sunday, applications in, closes 1 minute to.
Yep.
Midnight. Thanks. Come on, guys. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Jessica. You lot are rubbish. Close at 1 minute to midnight on the Sunday. So don't forget to get your applications in. Don't rush it. Angela mentioned at the beginning of the webinar as well about the importance of uploading the CV and cover letter. The cover letter would be the perfect place to mention that you'd watched this webinar and the IPs had inspired you to apply to the opportunities. You can apply to more than one, so don't forget that either. And one opportunity on Gradcracker doesn't mean one role, it means several. So don't be put off by that either. Make sure you apply and be part of the webinar next year. Watch this space, kids, watch this space. So don't forget also, we're going to be working away behind the scenes here at Gradcracker. This webinar, the full recorded webinar, will be live on the Mercedes Formula One Hub tomorrow, and we'll cut it down into bite-sized helpful snippets for you probably the following day, something like that. But yeah, just watch this space for that to go live. Thank you everybody for joining us today. It's been another fantastic webinar. These are just icons of the Gradcracker webinar series. So thank you everybody for joining us. Me and Jess, we're back 2 o'clock Thursday. Energy supplier SSE will be joining us, and then next week we've got a busy week. We've got Aston Martin Formula One and we've got Sellafield. So register your interest, find out a little bit more. But for now, thank you very much, Mercedes Formula One. It's been brilliant, and good luck with your applications, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.